Cool. I'm
That's
walking
sad.
away.
No one lies.
Deal with it.
In a beer.
Deal with it.
How do I deal with it? I don't. Oh, okay. It's like I can't do jazz hands fast enough to deal with it right now.
Well, we're live, so I mean, yeah.
Saying I
If
shouldn't
you're
be
gonna
doing.
if you're gonna jazz it up, you might as well do it now. That's for sure.
Jazz them hands, Joe. Jazz them paws.
Oh God. Yeah. Something about crying in front of the camera while shaking your hands around.
Something about taxation, you know. So.
I don't want to try and think about that too hard.
I don't want to think about any of the conversation we've had so far too hard.
That's okay, because the conversation we're about to have is a lot more exciting. I think.
And yeah, just for the record, so you're aware, this is not the same background or whatever. If anyone's actually paying attention at this point in time, I don't know. I can't see YouTube right now. I can't see anything. I got my phone in the middle of a hotel 3 provinces over, so that's where I am tonight. So
You
I used to have that lamp.
it's only 2 provinces over, by the way, not 3. But
who's counting? How's the
Winnipeg or Saskatoon, Saskatchewan takes so long to drive through. It feels like 2 provinces sometimes, but yeah,
Yeah,
It just
that'll
feels like forever.
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Before we get too far, how's your tablet doing, Dennis?
Oh, non-existent. I can't get anything to run properly on my tablet.
Cool.
I think it's time to get an upgrade. It's
Okay. I was gonna say I think the easiest way to do this might be to show you.
Just a quick shout out to Blade Freak and Black Frost in chat. What's up, guys?
Cheers, guys. Cheers. Also, Winnipeg's beer selection, garbage. Holy cow. There is nothing delicious to drink in this province. I mean, you get the job
Are you
done.
drinking a kokanee? Who are you?
This is hometown bullshit. Don't even get me started, dude. Like, it literally is in my veins.
Fantastic.
And when you've got a choice to go from like MGD and Coors Light, and like there was not good options at the very sketchy liquor store where the guy stood behind pawn shop bars and you asked him what you wanted and he went and got it out of the back for you. I'm not saying theft is a problem, but
Is that back home or is this Winnipeg? Because one of them surprises me.
Yeah, apparently there's a couple nice liquor stores in Winnipeg. Apparently my coworker was actually going to go check out some of the snobbier beer places, and I said, yeah, I don't care, any liquor store will do. That's not the case. Any liquor store will not do in this province.
Wrong. You were wrong.
Can't find Corona, I can't find Stella. I couldn't even find
Black Frost in chat is just screaming ew.
Ew. Yeah, but he thinks half my beer is ew that I think is good anyway, so, you know.
A refined
Vice
palate.
versa.
My goodness.
He, if it's not a blackberry porter, you know, Black Frost wants nothing to do with it. So
I see.
I'm just glad that neither one of you are like IPA drinkers.
no, we are not. And I got to get this damn medical alert bracelet off of me here. Jesus. Let's see.
Medical alert.
That's how they get you right there.
That's how they track you? Yeah.
Yeah, well, for the 3 days I was at a convention, that's how they were tracking me. I'm a free man now, though. So
Just a quick shout out to Ben in chat. What's going on, brother? How's that Adam ass treating you?
hope the Adam is doing good. Hope it's doing good. Also, on that note, because everything's glitching out, I don't have my iPad in front of me. I'm not watching the live stream, not watching the comments. Paul will have to have that covered tonight. So, yeah, redirect towards that man because I'm running blind over here tonight. So,
yeah.
I reserve the right to ignore every single one of you.
well, I mean, you've ignored that rate for a couple of months, okay, if not years, type of thing. So
Fair. Fair.
I'm trying to figure out a good way to share my screen with Dennis.
Hmm.
I don't know how this is gonna work, but
well, I can look up random websites if you need to link anything to me, but other than that, and like even your emails, Paul,
No.
like something's glitching on my iPad, something there, so I can't even get those. So I
Fair
might just have to get redirected to some websites, which I mean, imagine the audience is probably going to be doing the same thing at some point. So we'll play together.
for
Good
those of
news
you,
is you're just going to see me looking right into the camera all night long. Usually I'm looking at this screen and blah, 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 ignoring everyone that I probably should be paying attention to. I got nowhere to go tonight. You got me right here. Yeah.
Let's
You're
see
not-
how long you can like talk without moving at all, without your head moving around in the frame or anything.
No,
He's got
no.
it.
Amazing.
he's got a drink. A man's got a drink.
A man's got
You got me there. He's got me there.
Speaking of things we got to do, we should probably
Speaking
talk
of
about
things, Ben loves his Adamas.
Oh,
You were saying?
well, no, that is important. He loves the Adamas. I hope you go and beat the hell out of it. That is a knife that deserves it, and that's a knife that could take it. It's a lot of good fun.
Oh, I have no doubt that Ben will try to put that thing through his paces. I mean, he might think it's too nice, but beat on that thing, man. It's
Use it. It definitely deserves to be used.
just
For
going to
sure.
use my Gerber strong arm instead. I want to save this for special cutting occasions, like taking trees down.
Pretty much. I've done some stupid stuff with mine. God only. Well, who wants to start with their carries for the night?
Yeah. All right, Paul.
I got a ZT 750.
You sure do.
Is that if it's a who's 7? I know like Records is 8. Sinkovich is 4.
I think it's
Sevens
their
are
in-house,
in-house.
isn't it?
Sevens are
Okay.
in-house designs. Yeah.
It's just pre their little symbol.
Yeah. Which
Oh, they didn't get that symbol until a couple years ago now. Yeah.
that little guy. Right there.
Yeah.
Not-
But yeah, it's a swayback because swaybacks are the best backs. Yeah, think about it.
Nah, I did. I disagree.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly disagree.
Look,
And I'm pretty sure that gorilla would kick your ass. The Razorback is way cooler than the sort of swaying that you've got going on.
nah, bruh. Look at it. It's like a claw.
Mm-hmm.
I need
Scratch.
to make a straight Razorback, like with a swayback handle, and then they can call it the Razorback, and then I would buy it.
That's a weird combination, Dennis. That is weird.
The problem is that feather blades from Japan that make straight razors, the fixed bladed ones, already have that design very well down. So they've got a Razorback and they don't even know it. They're Japanese. They don't know what they got. It's
Not that bad.
No. I
should.
Not doing it.
No.
Yeah.
We're just gonna leave that alone. and go.
There shouldn't be a follow-up to that statement. We should just leave it as is.
The follow-up is that Dennis is carrying a.
Oh, it's
What?
my turn now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We were talking in Winnipeg, so I figured you'd give the view from my hotel room because that was also the picture that I should send you there. But from the
I can.
hotel room, I was carrying my bailout. So I brought her with me. I didn't tell you guys about that I was bringing this guy with me, but I figured
nice
that
one.
the spam account needed a couple more pictures, so
The
so I
spam
brought
account
it
does
around.
need some more
Yeah.
pictures. Most
Yeah.
definitely.
It really does.
I was gonna take some nice, pretty pictures around, and like surprisingly enough, I've got very minimal pictures while I've been in Winnipeg of.
Of anything pretty, yeah. Not shocked.
With a scenic background. Well, compared to where I live next to the river and trees and blah, blah, blah. Man, it sets the bar high for trying to take pictures to other places. That's for sure.
No doubt. Just a quick interjection. Black Frost is carrying his 308 tonight, and Blade Freak is carrying his XM18. Battle Black Bowie.
That's nice.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So people like to carry some classy shit, huh? All right.
Indeed.
I'm 18, you say.
That's-
Yeah, I guess that's you, Joe. That's you.
Uh,
I'm still looking at this cup of coffee.
Yeah.
What's
we
that?
It
enjoy.
looks like a tasty cup of coffee.
It was the perfect amount of tasty. Unfortunately, I'm out of coffee for tomorrow morning, so at the hotel, yeah, no, came home tonight, no refills on the coffee, so I'll be making a trek to my local dispensary around the corner to get myself some coffee in the morning.
Dispensary.
I mean,
I don't care what you dispense. There's many things you can dispense, and at that point, it's coffee in my mouth. It's
as long as it's both of those two things, hey?
yeah. I would like you to
Um,
dispense some coffee into my mouth.
It's like, well, I'll let the cup do that for you, sir. It's a little bit more intimate than my minimum
Look,
wage
if a
job
man wants to
allows.
be burned, the
I'm not
man
asking
wants
the
to be
cup.
burned.
Sorry,
Straight out
Paul,
of the carafe. Right into his face.
that's right. Is there some way to make some sort of nozzle that can run a tube from one end to the other? Yeah.
Are you wanting to like beer hat your coffee in the morning? Is that
Oh
what we're
my
saying
God.
here?
That needs to be a thing. It really does sometimes. It's
See,
Can
I
can
I
just
wouldn't-
camelback it.
was just gonna
That
say,
would be-
I wouldn't be shocked to learn if that was something you've done at some point in the past.
No, but it definitely will be. Jesus, I don't know why I haven't thought of that.
I
in the
might
past.
buy a small camelback specifically for that purpose. Like, I don't need more than a liter, I don't think.
They're like,
Maybe
why
a
don't you
liter
bring
and a
water
half.
bottle. I'm like, oh, the water bottle's for water. It's
That's for my coffee. It's like 3-4 gallons with the coffee.
There's
Yeah.
water and coffee. What do I need?
The important part is that it's caffeinated.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. So I take a couple blades with me. So I don't have my entire collection, the whole pile that I talk about over here, and then you have to drink because that was a game from like 3 years ago. Yeah, I don't have that tonight, but I got a half a dozen blades to play with. The other one I think you guys might be shocked to know about is I actually brought my fixed bladed Barus. So
oh,
yeah.
I thought you were going Contigo, to be honest with you.
Oh, I got a fixed bladed Contigo. I've also got a folding Contigo. Got a penguin. I gotta play. You gotta play, man. Yeah.
I appreciate the fact I do that exact same thing. I'm like, I'm gonna bring these, and then these ones too.
And then these ones as well. I have a
Yeah.
whole suitcase that, like, if I'm checking a bag just so I can carry a knife, I might as well make it worth my while. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, don't take any of my knives, please.
yeah. There's definitely a game of like, how pissed will I be if I have to go and buy this knife again, or can I find this knife again? Can I buy it again if it goes missing?
And that's a big part of why I carry the Kershaw pub, as some people saw on social media here on Instagram. I put that up because I am allowed to do a carry on. But if I lose that one, it's not the end of the world. I may or may not buy another one, but it's one of those, like, if I don't have enough time to mail it back to myself, do I really care that much? And the pub kind of fits into that category. So
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Matt just made a good point in chat that the French press you use while camping is a liter.
okay, that's good to know. I'll do some math.
That's what I'm saying.
Awesome.
What are you carrying, Joe?
I'm carrying one of the subjects of tonight, actually.
One of the.
I knew one of us had to carry that damn thing. I know.
Yeah. It's occupied the back pocket right next to my Spyderco military. Two very wildly different knives.
And I would have been shocked if one of you two boys threw up a banter as being like, surprise.
Man, I got thoughts and feelings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
do.
sure. We should share those thoughts and feelings because I think I would be the first one to probably throw up a banter and say, "Hey, check out what I actually pulled the trigger on." Like so.
I was gonna say, we could jump right in if we want to just go off of that.
Hey, the one thing I can bring up is a wee knife banter thing.
I just want to say how pretty this knife is.
It's gorgeous. They did
Joe's?
such a good job.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that the Damascus is as nice as it is. Fucking hate it. This thing was supposed to be so blingy, and it's.
I'm pretty sure that they like turned up the saturation on the photos on their website because this it seems so much more subdued, handle wise, compared to the photos you've seen that I've seen online of it.
Well, and we were all super confused after seeing that Damascus compared to how the Rustic Gents Damascus and like the Elementum's Damascus had looked up until that point. You're going from that super reflective to this deep, dark etch.
I'm pretty sure it's because they used S35 Damascus. They did.
That'd be cool as hell. Also, probably twice the price, if not 3 times the price. Yeah.
Thrice the price.
Yeah.
This is the pricing.
Horizon even. Come on, that
we're gonna break into an Obi Trice video here in a second. Yeah, it's
terrible. Absolutely
god awful.
So I got some pictures. What do we want to talk about first?
Oh.
Do we want to start with our first impressions? Do we want to talk about our Thrifty Boys?
Okay, so I don't know. All 3 of us bought a drifter, so that already tells the audience one thing. It's yeah. None of us have pulled the trigger on a banter.
That might tell you something else. Although Dennis seems pretty gung-ho to grab one.
Okay, but on that note as well, how much of that has to do with Ben? Like,
yeah,
just be like, but Ben's such a nerd.
It makes me.
I like his nerdiness. I think Blade HQ has not been the same since the man has left. Don't get me wrong. Let's get that out of the way right off the bat.
I hate to say it, but I don't watch their videos nearly as often now as I did back when he was there.
Whether you liked or hated his whole spiel about the marketing thing, when the man actually sat down and talked about a knife, he had a lot of good points. It did. And I find that the kind of, what do you call it? Her first-hand opinion, whatever type of thing, isn't as genuine with some of the newer guys that have been coming on the scene compared to with Ben. He was a knife guy at the end of the day. More so, yeah. Than a marketing guy, I guess. Yeah. The easiest way for me to put that, yeah.
He didn't seem terribly afraid of talking about points of a knife that other people may not enjoy as much. Like, he was very good at hyping a knife up, but he wouldn't sugarcoat stuff when it came to talking about oh yeah, you might find this clip is a little hot spotty, but if you hold it in certain grips, it's pretty decent, and for other size hands, it's great. I remember him making a lot of comments like that and being like, there's not a lot of professional knife reviewers or channels like Blade HQ, Knife Center, where they're willing to talk about that stuff or acknowledge it at all. I always thought that was really cool.
I think the big thing is he doesn't seem, for me at least, and I mean everyone has different opinions, but for me, he didn't seem as scripty as the rest of the guys. I guess that's a good way to put it. Is it? And he probably was scripty, but he was more natural about bringing it across. And had this way of conveying as just being a natural, hey, this point, question mark, blah, blah, blah type of stuff, whatever he was asking. It just seemed like it wasn't as like someone's paying me to stand here and say this type of thing, right? And I appreciate that for sure. So being a channel that we all work for a knife company and no one's paying me to stand here and say shit. So it's, yeah.
Spit it out there. Yeah.
Well,
I was just gonna say that working relationship seemed to culminate in a pretty, interestingly boring knife.
This knife, you mean?
The Banter, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Continue on. I gotta grab another beer here. Speak. I can hear you from here. Keep going.
So it's a good point. Counter argument, not even argument, but counterpoint. One of the things that we always talk about with knives is a neutral gripped handle and stuff like that, and neutral. So in that regard, it is like on point. Very simple handle, very simple blade shape, very usable.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. My hesitation with this knife, none of it has to do with function, like the aspects of the functionality of the piece. No problems with that whatsoever.
Which one of you guys was I talking to about the neutral and the boring and the just nothing pizzazzy about it? I think it was you, Paul.
It was me and you, yeah. Because I was giving this knife shit for being kind of boring. This and the Civivi Elementum was just like, but why? And that was where we had you were saying.
Well, yeah, okay. So basically, I was saying that there needs to be an Ontario Rat of this generation. The Ontario Rat is in itself a boring as shit knife that gets the job done for whoever needs it to get the job done, right? Whether it's a D2 or an Oz 8 or a 1 or a Rat 1 or a Rat 2 or whatever it is. That knife's been around for I don't know how long, and it's just become an old faithful. And I think some of these new designs, the Elementums, the Banters, the Bug Out is the one that I pointed out as being like, we need a neutral universal, just get the job done of this generation. And I think that's where these knives are starting to fill the gap type of thing, right?
You could almost call them universally recommendable because they're going to fit almost everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And everyone should be happy with this. It's a straightforward enough blade, straightforward enough handle. It can fit a wide range of people that are going to be okay with it, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I commented on was like the Bug Out in particular. And I said, yeah, but look at it in silhouette version. And these knives that we do get excited about, whether it's a bailout or a Bug Out or whatever, when you put them behind a silhouette handle on a Bug Out, that knife looks boring. Like there's no fancy lines to it. It's not a Contigo. It's not whatever. Like
it's no
Phoenix where you can see the ball walk going through it in a silhouette, and you're like, what the fuck is in the middle of that? Yeah.
No, I was literally just about to bring that. Like, it's no Spyderco Phoenix, but
yeah.
But that's probably a good thing for most people.
And it really is. Yeah, you look at the shadow of that knife, and you're like, yeah, it's a broomstick with a blade type of. Yeah. So
the one thing that I do appreciate about the Bug Out a little bit more so than this is that they at least play with texture, with their like.
So,
what's the word I'm looking for?
The checkered patterning.
The checkering. Yeah.
I've got mixed feelings about that. The G10 that they're using has like a very standard medium texture for the G10. It's not smoothed out, but it's not cold steel grippy. Is that done partially in an effort to keep the cost down rather than going for like a contoured handle, adding in any kind of texture, stuff like that?
With the Banter?
Yeah.
So there's a theory now with things that have a wide enough handle. You can start to lose some of the checkering, some of the grip, some of the whatever. Because the flatter it lies in your hand, the less likely it is to twist. Yeah, so, and actually, Crawford, Pat and West Crawford, designed a lot of their knives around that. CRKT had quite a few. I think the Triumph was a fixed blade, and they specifically talked about like it won't twist. Your blade, your edge alignment will be locked in where it needs to be because a flat handle is not going to turn in your hand like a round K-bar handle is or something like that type of idea, right? So the Banter is on that just fat enough handle that I can see it being kind of hard to twist in the handle. Bug Out's a little skinnier, and like we talked about the mini Bug Out and how I like actually said it wasn't fat enough for me. It wasn't mini H&K fat. It wasn't Banter fat type of, and that's what I didn't like about it, right?
It's not so much the texture as far as like in the grip that I like. I just like the visual appeal. This has got a lot of flat real estate that could have taken. And I mean, I guess that leaves you open to aftermarket scales like the cats in space and stuff like that. You've got a lot of billboarding area that you can play with like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
sure.
talking myself out of my own point, but
Well, I mean, sure, the area is ripe for customization, but
2 lines can add interest, though. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, honestly, I think it was just a time saving and a cost saving measure. Um, I for me, and I do like Dennis's point too about the anti rotation, because recently I've been finding the same thing is true with the holdout. Very simple, very flat construction. Not really a lot going on aside from the magnificent speed holes. But yeah, when it's in your hand, like even in a pinch grip like this, there's no real way for this thing to rotate without me losing my grip. So that is something to consider for the Banter. Plus, carry in the pocket. A lot of people seem to really like the wider, flat handles for the comfort in pocket. What do you guys think about that? Because like I've had knives that have contouring, like the rustic gent, like the Appalachian drifter, like well, even things like the tie light, where there is quite a bit of contouring on that dimension. I don't find myself with a super heavy preference, but what about you guys?
Oh, I do.
I don't-
It's definitely flat for sure. I
Flat for
carry
you?
a grip lean handle. I carry a super freak handle, but compared to the amount of times I carry a bailout, a bug out, the Osborns, yeah.
So
Um,
the less contouring, the better in your world.
a lot of the Sleech Bowie, I mean,
Yeah,
Sleech
minimal.
is contoured, but
Yeah.
Like, I think your Sleesh and this is contoured to a similar amount. It's just a gentle curve end over end.
how dare you compare an Artisan Cutlery Centauri Damascus with a Sleech Bowie, sir?
Ring
Similar.
finger
They're
flick.
similar.
I will say though, this knife, in carrying this knife recently, has made me realize how much I prefer a blade with a wider, narrow handle like this, as far as like a pocket knife.
It's
I
nice.
enjoy this. It is.
It sits nicely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do break out some of the more rounded handles and whatever from time to time, just because I do enjoy their ergos. But in the pocket, it's no contest. The bug outs, the bailouts, the whatever slim in the pocket type of designs win every single time compared to something that's fat. So, thus,
Fair.
not carrying a 308 or a 301. Looking at you, Black Frost.
It also explains the like of the 804. Yeah.
804 is pushing its luck too. It's in that same category of.
It's perfectly flat though.
Yeah, it is perfectly flat, but it's not a thin. It's not a slim in the pocket handle.
No,
The Banter is still considered a slim in the pocket.
Yes. Speaking
as
of in
well
pocket,
as flat. I think there's a difference for me on flat compared to slim.
Okay, fair enough. I was just gonna say, I'm throwing up a picture here now of a comparison between the clips on the Appalachian and the Banter, and yeah, they actually nailed the clip, I think, on both of these designs. But speaking specifically about the Banter, I think they did exactly what people wanted them to do: a nice deep carry clip, subdued screws or countersunk screws rather. You get a better look at some of the texture on this G10, and the chamfering they do in the corners is pretty nice. One of the things I find with
some of
square
us
handles
aren't happy. Some of us aren't happy with what they did with the clip.
Oh, fair enough. I think I might be able to guess what your criticism is, but
Of course, you all know. You all know what my criticism is at this point.
I don't know what my score would necessarily be if I scored the clip, but it gets an extra point for being right hand only.
That should have become a thing, by the way, while we were scoring. That would have been hilarious when you guys how much grief did I give everyone about their points? And you just be like, no, I just wanted to because it's on the personal side. F you, dude.
If it's the right hand clip, that's enough to get at least enough to get at least a 7. Yeah, that would have counteracted everything.
Oh man. We got to reevaluate those scores.
I was gonna say missed opportunities. Although there were some truly horrific clips that were right hand only too. So I mean, it's little hard to justify at that point.
They just get a 1 instead of a 0.
I will say, as an actual criticism for the banter, I know they wanted to keep a cleaner look, but I mean, does this really look that terrible? Just having a
Yes.
little bit of a cutout?
Yes, that looks horrendous, sir.
I don't give a shit. I think I think it looks fine. It's um
Like at least put a steel plate in that shit. Make it an accent instead of a
sure.
void.
Okay, charge me $5 or $6 extra bucks, give me a steel plate. Sure, I don't whatever, that's fine.
Or just be manly knives and give it to you for free.
Yeah.
Or do an internal clip. I mean, you're paying.
Yeah, like the penguin.
And honestly, at the yeah, just like that.
We have to say it at least once every video, right?
We got to bring up the penguin.
Hashtag penguin takeover.
Fuck yeah. No, my only real complaint, and it's not a huge complaint because it's not the worst offender, but if you notice the Appalachians clip, it kind of does it too, but not really. This comes out to a flat top right at the end of that ridge. It flattens out, only for a very short period, but the banter, it's just a spoon, and it ends with that high, kind of like it just stops up there. That can be a bit of an ergonomic hotspot normally, but on a knife this small, I haven't noticed it to be as much of a problem in just holding the knife and squeezing it and, thinking like, okay, this is how it would feel while doing push cuts. I haven't had that bad of an experience with it.
The nice thing about a clip like that, even though it does hotspot your hand, it doesn't get caught on stuff as much. That flat spot, with the Appalachian. The Appalachian's small enough that it shouldn't be an issue. But some Kershaw and some ZT clips, they're like standard, like the clip that's on the cryo.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're not going to dive too much into the Appalachian, but I have comments on the Appalachian clip, being that I carried it for an entire weekend in my off-pocket carry, because it normally doesn't get more than 1 day in the right pocket, just because I have 3 or 4 very nice right pocket knives that take its place instead. So, but not wanting to dive deep into the Appalachian, I carried it for 3 days, and I have some thoughts about the particular ergos on that goddamn clip. So
we will. I was going to say we will come back to that. Yeah,
for sure. But as far as the banter clip, I was just having a conversation the other day with a guy about how, as a lefty, sometimes putting a right-handed pocket clip actually works out, because what would be on the inside of the palm of your hand is no longer on the inside palm of your hand. It's now on the outside, and it's like something to wrap your fingers around, or the Appalachian where you've got
It makes me happy that on so many pocket knives, if I hold with my left hand, my middle finger tends to go in the dip of these wider spoon clips from Spyderco, for instance. Stuff like that, where it's like, this feels so good. But I'm not left-handed.
And even on the scoring and stuff, I wonder if, like the hotspots you guys were talking about back in the day, if we swapped it around and put it on the left-hand side, all of a sudden I'd be like, yep, I feel exactly the hotspot that you're talking about. And I tried to put stuff in my right hand, but I mean, I didn't do it 100% of the time. All of our scoring was inconsistent. So, it is what it is.
That's it.
Try our best as we can.
I have intentionally put pocket clips on the wrong side of a knife to back pocket carry them.
It's called the left side, okay? Jesus.
The wrong side. The wrong side, yeah.
No. There is a wrong side. There is a wrong side, 1,000%, but it's not down here. It's up here.
There we go. All right. At least we can all agree on that bullshit. Yeah.
I'll give you that.
This shouldn't exist. Anyway.
I think I could get Jared to even agree on that one. Like, seriously.
I will say ergonomically it works out some in the few instances that I own, but I've also had the opposite experience. Anyway, banter.
Have we touched on the action on it yet at all?
No, but it's...
No, we have not, sir.
But it's
because we definitely
great.
need to talk about
that. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, as far as lockup and actuation, goddamn 10. Oh, well, maybe a 9. Jesus, it's smooth. Compared to some of the other stuff we played with when Me Knives came in and Civivi came in, I think it was like number 1 in my opinion. as far as how nice it was to play with. Yeah.
As far as a thumb stud opener goes, this is probably one of the nicest non-spring assisted openings I've had on a thumb stud. Like it's super duper poppy and reliable and smooth, and you can slow roll it open too if you really want. But
Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know. Try not to scare people in the lunchroom. I don't
Just man up and do it.
know. They call human resources, so you can snap your knife in front of them too. Yeah.
There you go.
I snapped my knife at Devin this weekend, and some dude that was standing. It's like, whoa, what's going on? I'm like, this is one of the few places where I'm allowed to draw a knife out, and it's okay in this entire hall because of how strict they are. Like, I am taking advantage of the fact that I am one of the only people with a real knife in 10,000 people.
Yeah.
This thing pops open like my Fox Tur,
Yeah.
but on bearings, so it's faster.
The detent is very nicely tuned. It doesn't feel burry at all, which is nice. Yeah, honestly, I don't have any real complaints about the action.
If this knife ends up in my collection, it's because of the action. 100%.
It's a fidgety little thing. I will say that disengaging the lock bar isn't as nice as something that has a dedicated cutout or has relief cuts on the inside to accommodate a thumb, but that might also just be my fat thumbs. I'm not 100% sure, but it's not difficult to disengage. It's just not as quick to disengage. That's all.
It's not Gail Bradley level.
No, it's not nearly that bad. Yeah.
It's not
but we were also just. Go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, the MKM that we talked about recently, how much we praised, the unlocking it wasn't that end of the spectrum, but it definitely wasn't a Gail Bradley by any stretch either.
And that's exactly what I was about to say, is we were praising how nice the MKM just settle enough. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. This is close. I mean, they thought, like, you can see in the one picture where even on the left-hand side, not the wrong side, you bastards, that you can see the jimping just sticking out enough that you can see you can still get purchase, right? So, yeah.
I will concede that Joe has come up with a better wrong side. But that tip down is the wrong side.
Yeah, it sure is.
The left is just the goofy side.
Well, it's okay to go goofy every once in a while.
Every once in a while, don't push it. Don't you push it.
Well, no. Goofy wasn't that good.
I used to skateboard when I was a kid. Goofy flittered. Hate it. Hate it.
So super funny that I snowboard regular. But anyway.
See, Ben's right. We are slowly converting you.
No. I got converted well before I knew any of you sons of bitches. So, all right. On the note of the banter, it's how fat I wanted the mini buggo to be. Well, no, it's actually fatter than what I wanted the mini buggo to be. It's a fat freaking knife, man.
I know this isn't the fat dimension you're talking about. But I just threw up a picture of the knives compared like this, the Appalachian and the Banter. It's not a terribly thick knife, but it's wide for the size. But I'm starting to really, and this is coming from a guy who regularly seek knives like this out. I don't know, especially after playing with the holdout, I kind of want to have more in my life, something a bit wider. There's something quite nice about working with them.
Wow, slicey blades. Slicey blades. You get some tall blades and you get some good action out of it. That's no 940 on-board type of bullshit, right? So
yeah, they stay thinner for longer, which is nice. Behind the edge, that is.
Yeah. Which I saw a guy on Instagram just post, like, the fact that no one cares about how thickness behind the edge. Thick knives need love too, type of bullshit. And I'm like, no, they don't. No, they don't.
Depends on the knife. Okay. If you're making a bushcrafting batoning knife, yeah, little thickness ain't such a bad thing.
Sure, but
in the EDC community,
that's
no.
And as Joe is pointing out, save the thick edges for CRKT. It's fine.
They got it covered, guys.
Let the real brands deal with some proper edge geometry. Spyderco, keep doing what you're doing. I'll give you props for that. At least you got good slicey grinds.
What do you think the T in CRKT stands for?
It's not like CRKT doesn't know how to do a thin edge. They just refuse to do it very often.
What was that, Paul?
So what do you think the T in CRKT stands for?
Thin, right? Thin, yeah.
Columbia River knife and thick.
Yeah, 2 C's. 2 C's on that sumbitch.
Yeah.
Quick shout out. What's going on, Dick Richards? We are not talking about monsters and ghosts. We might even be bantering about a wee knife banter.
Oh, boo. I hate that. Also, boo. Sorry.
I like how you were a ghost and a vampire all at once.
Yeah, vampire ghost. Twice as terrifying.
Yeah.
They're not affected by sunlight. It just goes right through them. I don't have nightmares. No. The banter honestly isn't quite as thick behind the edge isn't quite as thin behind the edge as I would like, but it's not bad. It's kind of in that realm between this stupid D2 pillar and what's something a bit more reasonable, like.
Is it thinner than the Fox Tur?
Maybe very slightly.
I bet you it is.
Yeah.
Because the Fox Tur is
I almost guarantee it's thinner behind the edge. It's only
but
0.1 of an inch for the banter as far as like the stock thickness, like on the spine. And with how fat that is, yeah. Like you're working with not quite manly, because manly knives had like a 0.8 of an inch or something like that. It was silly.
Oh, I thought we were talking about thickness right behind the edge as opposed to thickness of stock.
Oh, we're talking about both, but I mean, again, with only 0.1 on the spine, and then that much to work with on taper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice blade on this thing regardless. Good working knife. Good size for it. What's the blade length of this guy? We're right in at about 3?
Blade length 2.9 inches. So they're trying to keep it legal, even though if you're an asshole, so will the company. That's the moral of the story. But yeah.
Yeah, there's that.
In the US, at least, where 3 inches matters. But here in Canada, I pull Contigos out in conventions. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. Is it weird?
Yes.
Is it weird that the action on this knife makes me want the mini banter from Civivi that much more?
Because you're interested in the smaller size, right?
I want it in a dragonfly. Yeah.
He was just talking about the action.
Well,
I want the Nitro V, and I like the dragonfly kind of form factor. And if it's got that action, that sounds fucking amazing.
I've converted to the Dragonfly Infinite Gunworks. I don't even know if he's here tonight, but you got me. Son of a bitch, you got me. These things, they're awesome.
They're good little knives.
There was an Instagram challenge that was 30 days of Dragonfly, and I laughed at it back in the day, and now I understand. I'm like, I can go 30 days with just a Dragonfly. It might be chipped behind the edge because I'm going to do stupid things with it. But
it won't chip if you replace it with K390.
Can I carry other knives and only use the Dragonfly?
Yes.
No.
Oh, for the challenge specifically. I see.
Challenge with no other knife. 30 days of Dragonfly. That's it.
No.
I could do it.
No.
I could do it. I wouldn't like it. I would look at all my other knives and be like, that sad Sarah McLachlan song where they're trying to adopt puppies. Like, it would be something like that.
So I'm just going to interject to say I've got a photo thrown up of the foliage green or whatever they call it version of the Banter, alongside the crossbones for size comparison, alongside the rustic gent and the Dragonfly. The Dragonfly is already, like, overall length is really similar to the Banter. So the Civivi the mini Banter, how irritating would that be if it was the Civivi Wee Banter that they called it? That would piss me off. But
Only
it-
if they use two.
Civivi mini Wii Banter. Thank you very
Mini.
much.
No,
okay.
no. Instead of mini, they just use two E's in Wii.
Yeah, exactly. Wii
That
Banter.
should have been what
Yep.
it was. Like,
That again,
we
it would
all
piss me
disagree
off.
right now.
But
I want you to know, I was this close to leaving the conversation. It almost happened.
nothing's stopping you. Nothing's stopping.
as if that's not what they should have named it. They would
No,
have
it
sold
totally
more.
is. I hate it. I hate it so much. But that is exactly what they should have named the
Yeah.
new one.
Anyway, I bring this all up to say that Dragonfly, the grip length is longer than the Banter, but the blade length is a little bit. The cutting edge is also shorter than the Banter. So, are you sure you want the Civivi version? This is already a pretty short knife.
Yes. My lips all the way up, touching the microphone? Yes.
Okay.
I think part of that as well is when you're working with a Dragonfly knife, size knife, the Wii Banter is just on that line of being like normal pocket knife carry. It would be a big watch pocket carry. But Dragonfly or smaller becomes a watch pocket carry. And at that point, it's more of just, I want to play with this knife because I have it on me more than it is the actual function of the knife itself. So being smaller, I think, doesn't really apply at this point. I just get something that's kind of a cool design with Nitro V that I can play with and throw it in the watch pocket.
That's the other thing, Nitro V. I think most people are pretty sick of S35 unless they're really into a particular design like the Banter, but sometimes it's not enough. I'm interested specifically because of the Nitro V.
Do you think Nitro V is going to replace S35?
Do I think it's going to replace S35? I think it could, but I think
Okay.
that's a
You were
long
saying
ways
people
away.
are talking about being tired of S35, and you're like, what? We're just going to throw up some 1090 or some 1428 Sandvik variation instead? But
If we're talking about this, I need another beer.
yeah.
No, I had just meant that, like, for me personally, I don't. Nitro V is still a relatively new steel, so I'd be more interested in the Civivi version specifically for that steel. That actually, to me, is more of a selling feature over the S35.
Well, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I bitched about the fact that Civivi bailed on half of their models that were supposed to be Nitro V.
Also,
So when it comes to playing with new steels, I don't expect them to perform like S35. I don't
No.
expect it to perform like S90. I'm going to get my expectation with the price point that I'm going to pay for Nitro V. But I still want to play with it, but I don't expect it to be.
I understand. I was just going to say,
Yeah.
also, take what I say with a pillar of salt here. S35 VN. Well, I'm just bitching about how, it'd be cool if it was a different steel than S35. I already own so much S35. Like, how much S35 have I bought in the past year?
Well, we were talking about that a couple weeks, if not last week, about like all of a sudden all of us just have way more S35 in our collection than we did a year ago. Type of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I have one just traveling. Now that's the Appalachian Drifter. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's S35 for the Banter as well, right? So.
Black Frost is saying it comes in purple. That's why he wants it. LOL. I'm not sure if he's talking about you or me.
Definitely
I
the
assume
Banter.
me because I like
The
purple.
baby Banter comes in purple. The original Banter does not.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, the original Banter does not come in many of the fancy colors that the baby comes in. The
Let's be
baby's got
honest
some
here.
zingy colors. Yeah.
Let's be honest here. If it came down to it and I liked the full-size Banter, that blue would take a purple dye pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, you could do a red even and get a purple, but out of it type of thing, right? So,
Yeah. I might just go with the same purple I'm going to do my angst with. They'll match.
Or you could just get the gray one because that's the right answer.
Look, I'll have a bunch of purple Wii knives that weren't anodized.
Yeah.
We'll see that one day, but until then, you just have a gray angst.
Hey, man.
Sounding awfully angsty.
Shots fired. Shots
Where's
fired.
that pillar of salt? Look, I've got a pocket clip that I gotta finish first, okay?
Yeah.
I'm feeling called out here.
I
Anyway,
think close to done with the banter. I think what we're talking about. A handful of variations.
it's a very unremarkable knife, and I think that's the thing it does best. There's no awkward surprises, no crappy, oh, I didn't realize this would be that way, and like feel no bad aftertaste. It's just a decently designed, well built knife.
At a fairly reasonable price point for what you're getting.
Yeah.
If I had access to the cat scales, I'd already own it. If I'm being completely honest, I know that what that says about me as a human being and a knife owner, but I would not be able to say no to that.
How long until they do a titanium version?
With cats on it?
Actually, if there was a titanium version with like etched cats, I'd buy that.
He's waiting for that Chris Reeve to come out still.
There you go.
They keep telling me just 2 more weeks. Every 2 weeks.
I'm gonna get them to customize one with cat paws just for Joe.
No, it's got to be like an actual, like a cat, not just the paws. Paws are cute, but you got to be the whole cat.
Fine, you're not getting a Sabenza.
All right, I'm okay with that.
I mean, to be fair, I wasn't gonna actually buy a Sabenza, but
They're so expensive now.
yeah.
Now, if you can get me one in Magna Cut, I wouldn't say no.
Well, for $2,000, you could have bought the one off a knife center and then engraved it for whatever you wanted, right? So
was it only $2,000?
Yeah, I think so.
They bought it for like.
Oh no, it was 4, wasn't it? They bought it for 35 and
6.
sold it for 4, or something like that. Yeah.
I thought it was 6 that they sold it for.
I thought it was cheaper. Okay, well, yeah.
Forget their website, but yeah.
Forget that then.
It could have been 8. Who knows? Let's just make up some more numbers while we're at it.
No, I'm not saying it this way. I'm just the guy who's asking the questions.
Go back and watch our own videos because we did talk about it at some point in time, and I'm sure we knew what price it was back then.
I think we actually looked and referenced it. Yeah.
Do we want to give the banter like a
hell yeah we do.
4? I don't know where he went.
I don't know.
It's
a mystery.
Beer. You guys were supposed to keep talking. Jesus Christ.
You just said, yeah, we are, and then you left, and I thought you were going to get something for it.
Yeah. No, just beer.
That's the right
I
answer.
had 3 days of a comic book convention, and I don't have an engineer right now, so we're going to dive into beer to get through this fucking stream.
Indeed.
Sounds like a plan.
Do you want to grade this bad boy?
Do I want to?
Yeah.
I will. I'm going to give it 29 out of 31 sugar skulls, given that it's Halloween. So,
29 out of 31.
Yeah, it didn't have a left-hand pocket clip, those fuckers. So, but
That's so terrible.
Other than that, I was looking at the gray one, and yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It's yeah.
It's your color.
It is. Yeah.
It bothers me so much that of all the options you choose boring.
Hi, my name's Dennis. I run a knife store.
Look, I am
believe we've
here
met.
to counteract the Dennis with my cat scales, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's definitely the other end of the spectrum. So yeah, 100%.
I mean, at this point, I'm looking at the gray one, and I'm annoyed that the Wii symbol in the pivot is not gray too. It's black. Whatever. Finish that shit.
Really?
Oh, the Wii pivot is always black. It's on your
The background is always black.
Oh, I thought you meant the entire thing, including the lettering, was black. I was like,
No.
why the hell would they do that?
No, it's just all the rest. All the screws are gray. All they're silver. Everything else is not, and then just this black pivot. whatever.
So go in there with some paint remover and remove the black from the back.
And then it would just be that's a two-tone silver. That's not a bad idea. We should do that. Because
We
two-tone
should do
silver
that.
engraving is not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Ben finger reach tests. Because, it's a banter. And you got a fing.
What happened on the 5th finger reach test?
Would you like to know?
Yeah.
That's a topic for another day.
Either the knife poked something it shouldn't, or the finger poked something it shouldn't. Either way, it probably ended badly.
Not for the person holding the knife.
You can't say that.
I wasn't there.
You store it.
I'm gonna have to give this thing sure, why not? 6.5 jack-o'-lanterns out of 7. It's really nice. I like this thing. As much as I have an aversion to how unremarkable it is, I can't deny the fact this is a really nice knife. Yeah.
Interesting.
I really like the anodizing on the green one. The thumb stud and the backspacer.
The backspacers are still gray. On the green?
On the green, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the blue one has black thumb studs.
And gray.
Spacers. Is it gray spacers?
Gray spacers on that one too. Yeah, same spacers for both.
I thought this one had the same bronze.
Nope, I wish they did.
What am I on about?
That's just what it. Probably because you're thinking of bug outs.
Oh, it's silver. I just looked at Wii's website, but
yeah.
The
thumb stud's really nice though.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that was a little bit more matchy, but it's not the end of any worlds, I guess.
It's the end of mine.
Oh, that's dark.
I'm surprised that you gave it 4 out of 5. I really am. I didn't think you liked it quite as much as that, Joe.
I do. I do. It's comfy. Again, if they're either a steel change or something more interesting, like a crazy locking mechanism, whatever, and if this was ergonomically the same, it could find its way into my pocket pretty easily. Like, again, nothing inherently wrong with the knife, except for the fact, there's no left-handed screw holes, but other than that.
Yeah, and the pocket clip could be a little bit nicer, but it's not terrible.
No, for what this knife is.
Utilitarian.
Like, I don't know if you saw me kind of light up before, but when I thought this thing was available in purple, I was like, oh, I might have to reconsider some things. But I think I'm going to go with the Mini just because it's Nitro V and in purple. Paul and I are going to match.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you can count on me to mix it up a little bit. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
You know what? Gray and purple looks really nice together. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
but if
you'll know once you die half of your angst. But
Hey man.
Until then,
don't tempt me.
I'll
do it. I'll do it this way.
Paul,
purple on one side, gray on the other.
There's no point in continuing this channel anymore. You just said the worst possible thing.
You were
all right. Fair enough. I'll leave. Sorry.
You were just talking
the damage is done
on the Appalachian Drifter and having 2 lines. Just do that with purple. Just get 2 lines.
Just the lines.
You know, if you could get dye right into those little grooves to change that color, kind of cool. I don't know how clean of a job you could really do, but if you could pull it off, it might look neat. Do we want to talk about the Appalachian Drifter now?
Well, we'll probably end the episode on that. We got, an hour in at this point, so.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, a knife that I actually own, that we all actually own.
Out to Examinator in chat. Hello.
Hello. Happy Halloween
Who are we
indeed,
saying
guys.
hi to?
Examinator.
Oh,
Examinator.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, I talked about the wee banter, talking about the Appalachian Drifter. What do you got? What do you got?
Well, I think I bought this knife for reasons a little bit different than you guys, but not that far removed. I think the big draw to this was the fact that it's kind of fun, fidgety to open and close.
Kind of. It could
Kind
be
of.
more fidgety and fun.
It could be.
Yep.
So, you know what? Yeah, let's start with that. We had it in our heads, thanks to a certain ZT slip joint, that this would be a knife that you could very easily pop open. I'll get my head out of the way here. And then pop closed. But then we found out that as you pop closed, there is a bit of a tendency for the blade to pop out of the handle. It does take a particular amount of force on the close to get it to seat properly. And I've gotten to the point where I have a fairly high success rate, but it's not 100%. And I have to say, the main reason I bought this knife, aside from doing the fancy version, was because I wanted something that fidgety, something that doesn't lock, very easy to open and close. But I have to say, that was a bit of a disappointment. Not enough for me to kill my enthusiasm, but definitely something that surprised me.
Your enthusiasm will still be a 4 to a 6 according to Fisk, no matter what we grade. So,
Hey man,
it's hard for me to really
I'm
dislike
7.
it.
Inherently, it's a knife. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
That thing you're talking about right now about the blade bouncing back open has actually led me to the possibility of disassembling this knife and adjusting the double detent bars a little bit, giving them a little bit more tension, hopefully to grab the blade a little bit more strongly on the close.
Yeah. The reason why I think this is a thing is because with the ZT, you could just pop the spine, it would snap shut and it would stay shut. There's a half stop on that knife. There is no half stop on this knife. I mean, this is a flipper tab opening knife as well, so that's probably part of why there's no half stop. But I don't know. Part of me wonders, okay, should there have been one? Should there have been just one extra detent hole for this to work a little bit more reliably?
and most of the time, a half stop is actuated with a spring bar, right?
Yeah.
In ZT's case, they actually did mill a second hole on their blade to act as a half stop where the detents actually did sink in, right? And I think that's the biggest attention to detail is having that half stop will kick you down just a little more securely than a knife that doesn't have it, right? So
I realize this is quite an overexposed image, but I've got a picture of the inside of the liner of the Drifter just to show you what that looks like in the wrong knife, in the partially open position. But yeah, I have to say, when it works really, really well. But getting that level of force just memorized and knowing, okay, that's exactly how hard I need to push it. Even for me, it's still not 100% success rate, but
I found as well that having your finger in the right spot, up and down on the spot,
1,000%.
does make a big difference. If you get that right up in the right spot, and I didn't have it there because you guys can see that, didn't quite cut it, but yes. And not having this video try to be too annoying, all three of us clacking knives since we're talking about, but that's obviously it's obviously the biggest flaw with this particular design. We all wanted to love it. I mean, a couple of guys bought the rustic gent. I think everyone except for me did, and with the half stop and the lock back. But with D2, there's a trade-off, right? So yeah.
Oh, I went with the fancy both times.
Yeah, he went with Damascus twice over.
Now, yeah, that's true. That's true. One of the things I personally said about this knife is maybe that's why they made an Appalachian 2 with a liner launch. and no one is expecting the same fidget factor to close a knife that has a liner lock. They're expecting that just like push the lock out of the way, roll it closed type of fidget.
They
The
are
fidget
moving.
factor comes open.
They are moving away from my favorite corner flipper design of all time. They're moving away from this greatness to a front flipper design on the Appalachian 2. So you're going to be
Like
popping it
it's a
over
front
the top.
/ top. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I did find that the Appalachian 2 is probably going to open up in just as many ways as this knife does. You can actually middle finger flick it because your finger gets into that groove really nicely. You can thumb it open as well quickly, which is very silly.
But we also talked about being able to like open with your thumb the rustic gent as well. That groove is very solid. It's the same design that they copied on the Appalachian Drifter, and you can still very much get your thumb in it and rotate it open.
Absolutely.
With that full, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I find with the Appalachian with the Appalachian Drifter, the rustic gent, a pinch works really well for getting it going. But you don't need that as much with the rustic gent. You can just kind of push on it with the one finger. You don't need to grab it with both.
You can for a really controlled slow opening, but you're right. You certainly don't have to.
Yeah. Would it be weird to say that I still like the rustic gent more?
Is that only because?
Not necessarily.
Is that only because you've been carrying clipless? So, given the same carry format, you prefer the back lock as opposed to not having a lock with this blade?
I think because it will bounce back occasionally, it has made it to the point where it's like, well, it's not going to do that thing that I wanted it to do. And I just really like the way this one looks with the bolster and
that's fair.
With the carbon fiber bolster, it's awfully nice for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think...
I still really like this. I will be buying an Appalachian Drifter too. I'm going Joe with it this time around.
You're getting the fancy boy.
Yeah. On that note, though, like you were saying, I took the clip off, and I've been carrying it in the rustic gent pouch, and it's a pretty great way to carry this knife.
I had a comparison picture of that. I'm just looking for it now.
So, yeah, we were talking about the clip in particular, and we were kind of talking about it when with the banter and the spoon and the lip, and the rustic gent has this bit of a flattened down lip. It's hard to see. Cool Scarborough, but yeah. I don't know if Joe has a picture of that or not, but
yeah, I've just pulled up one that's for illustrating a different point, but this also, yeah.
Okay.
As far as slim in the hand,
as far
also,
as
it's not centered.
Oh yeah, the centering is definitely just slightly off on yours.
Yep.
But yours was also assembled or reassembled, right? So.
Yeah. But it was off when I disassembled it.
I did find on mine that it's very touchy. Mine went off a little bit, and I had to readjust it, and it's been good since. But I do find that the pivot has got, even though there's no blade play, it's pretty solid type of thing. I got no complaints on that. That the blade can wiggle a little bit as far as the pivot goes, and it will shift left and right, even though it doesn't really affect blade play. So
it went back exactly to the same spot from like when I bought it. I got it home and realized it was off. I was like, meh, it's not the end of the world. And it's really not the end of the world, but it's definitely something that I notice when I play with the knife.
Well, I mean, the tips are so thin on this knife, and it's so easy to see where that little, like a little needle indicator, where it's sitting between the two scales. So it's going to be more obvious on this knife if something's a little bit off.
You can see how lazily I tied that lanyard knot in that photo.
It worked. But hey, you went purple. That's the important thing.
Hey man, purple and brown go together.
Purple goes with a lot of things, right?
Why would you zoom in on it, you prick?
Because it was right there. How could I not?
Good stuff.
Um,
Good stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah. Oh. Another thing about this knife. Where the hell did that photo
Hang on
go?
a sec. I'm gonna bitch about the clip. I'm not
Oh.
done.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Clip.
All right.
Christ. I
What
was
are you
at
gonna
an
put
expo for
speedles?
3 days. That thing ripped the shit out of the inside seam of my t-shirt every time I went to go move. Like it kept
Really?
on digging into the underside of the t-shirt, and like exactly where that lip straightened out, it just chewed the crap out of one of my shirts. Like, yeah. And once it started and it found some sort of groove to slip into, it was like, all right, I'm gonna put a hole in your son of a bitch type of thing, right? So
Okay.
yeah, I was super not impressed. I might ditch the clip myself and look for a slip pouch or something like that I can carry it in, because the way that that lip flattens out, it just grabs. It just, yeah.
I can't say that's ever been a problem for me. Wow.
It fits so good in this pooch.
I
They're
wonder.
literally identical in size.
Yeah, I noticed you were carrying it in the pouch. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Joe?
Oh, just I wonder if it would be worth the effort of taking a small file and actually rounding the harshness off, and maybe that would prevent it from grabbing in the future. But
Getting rid of the flat and just having a bit of a lip or
yeah,
something, right?
kind of like how the Banter is set up, where it just kind of goes.
Yeah, and you were talking about ergos, and maybe that flat little piece on the end does help ergos when you're holding it in your right hand or whatever. I can't hold it in my left hand because, again, even this knife is fucking
Yeah.
right hand only. You sons of bitches.
So
But,
yeah. That does kind of suck.
I was more okay with it because I planned on using it as an off-pocket carry.
Yeah.
Something traditional is normally where I carry, or like off-pocket is where I carry a traditional anyway, right? So
I'm genuinely contemplating making a either thin G10, or I have some other liner material that's like kind of a fibrous material.
Mm.
I'm genuinely thinking about making a little.
Little plate. That could be cool.
Just chamfering the holes a little bit so the screws still hold.
Could be good.
Yeah, it might need to happen. Not that it's bad.
So I have a theory as to why this does that some of the time. Yeah, it has to do with the force going into it, but I think the reason why the force transmits so well is because the stop pin is actually set into the blade. Whereas the stop pin on the ZT we were talking about earlier is actually set directly into the handles. And you can see just here the two. Well, I guess Dennis can't. Sorry, Dennis. You can see the position of the
you're
pin.
not sorry. Anyway.
Well, if you look at your knife, Dennis, you can see how the pin rotates when you move the blade, basically. I think
with how my knife works, but thank you. Yeah.
Thought, just give you a mini tutorial. No need to thank me. But as far as this, yeah. Either way, I think that's why this is happening the way it is. I can't think of any real good fix for it is kind of the problem, though, because anything you would do to dampen that impact is going to change how it locks up when it's closed. So it's probably just a gimmick, a quirk of the knife that you kind of have to get used to.
What I'm hearing is you're telling me I shouldn't try and tighten up those lock bars or the detent bars.
No, I'm actually saying that's probably the only way to fix it. Is to tighten up the
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a tricky one because, like you said, with the stop pin, it might actually physically be bouncing with that stop pin out of the end of that track, and it might be bouncing. Whereas if the stop pin was actually in the handle itself, it wouldn't be having as much force. It would sink in a little bit better. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it'll actually help or not.
Yeah.
This is kind of going back to the pocket clip a little bit. But Zaminator in chat was saying that that lip that you're talking about on the front of the clip digging into your shirt, always scratches up his car, which is a fair statement because we
Okay.
don't drive for the most part, right?
So okay, so that actually, this might be a whole other can of worms, another discussion for another day, but I would have assumed that these types of clips where they come up and sweep would tend to dig into things as you pass by more so than a clip like this, where there's a flat top.
and I would probably say you're probably right, but I think clips in general, like my keys hanging off the front of my pants, would scratch up the fuck out of somebody's car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But it's just interesting because I've heard it both ways from different people saying that like this is better to avoid scratching versus this is better or this is better. Like I've heard it so many different ways, and I've never seen like any real consensus or, and I won't say it's a niche problem, but it's definitely not something that everybody encounters either.
The biggest thing that I always have with pocket clips is getting them caught on seatbelts.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does happen for sure.
Yeah. And I find the longer the flat is, the more likely they are to get caught on seatbelts.
Just something to channel it in, right? And that's the whole thing. Yeah. Whereas I think that would happen with my shirts too, is if it's just a spoon, it either catches or it flips up. Whereas if there is that little flat piece on the end, I think it channels whatever it is right up into there to snag or whatever, right? But yeah, super unimpressed. I haven't had a right hand clip. Now, a lot of my right hand only knives, because your goddamn fancy titanium has fancy titanium milled clips, and they don't have a spoon on the end of those fancy titanium milled clips, right? So
what do you mean?
You're get out. Just get out. I don't even have anything to say to you right now. When you make a QSP penguin milled clip look better than what you have right now, that tells you something.
Man, the penguin clip's fine.
The penguin clip is
functional.
Acceptable. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Better than the anthem clip.
On the flip side of that, S35, smoke a deal. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Damascus, whatever yours is. And don't even get on the price point with yours, Joe. We'll just
No. I'm not worried about that. I was just gonna say, for S35 and done with as deep of a hollow ground as these blades are, awesome little cutters, 1000%.
Yes. Even in D2, the rustic gent is quite the little slicer.
Yeah, a hollow grind knives. There was a guy the other day that posted something about I don't understand why you would ever have a hollow ground knife. I'm like, there's reasons. Maybe I'm not going to be super hard on my hollow ground knife, but as far as edge geometry goes, there is definitely reasons for sure. So,
I mean, I have been known to shit on hollow ground knives on this channel. But I am coming around. I have gone to hollow ground therapy, and I am coming out a new man.
I think there was 12 steps involved. I don't think you're there yet, dude. Like, come on.
I'm working my way through. I'm on step 3.
Yeah,
3. Yeah. Still have to go. Yeah, that's anger.
I refuse to accept a higher power. I'm just not.
Yeah. You're getting shit mixed up. That's funny.
Right.
Wrong steps, Dennis. Yeah, no, it's I think I think for the line, generally speaking, I think hollow grinds are it was the right choice for this design in specific, in particular, rather. But in terms of
the point that copies a buck 110-ish type of design being hollow ground, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about. It's not one of the greatest blade shapes ever. It's pretty good though. I gotta say, if you've never owned a clip point blade before, this isn't a bad one to start with. Like, just anything from this lineup.
No, they're all pretty great. And they're beautiful.
What do the S35 ones run for?
40?
Canadian, they're sub 150, so that's good. Like, yeah. sure. So
I think for just a general use utility cutter, I don't have any problems with this knife not locking. I've used non-locking knives on job sites before. It's hasn't ever really been a problem. And if, like a lot of people like to say, if you feel like your knife needs a lock, maybe you should be carrying fixed blade. There is some wisdom to that, I think. Um, I greatly enjoy the convenience of locking knives. I wouldn't want all my knives to suddenly be like this one day, but um,
They
honestly,
definitely have their place.
sorry.
They definitely have their place.
Oh yeah, 100%. Just
Yeah.
especially with the price point, with the materials these guys are coming in, I think they're a solid deal for what you're getting. Um, yeah, they're awesome. Aside from that one closing too hard gimmick we talked about, or quirk we talked about before, aside from that, I can't really think of any honest criticisms for this knife.
it sucks ass, and it's right hand only. That's another criticism. Jesus.
Your second criticism doesn't hold a lot of water there, Dennis.
But
But
my card is a
Okay,
little
right hand
dry.
only may not, but the clip definitely like.
I've never had a problem like that, and I still haven't had a problem with this. And again, back pocket carry for maybe that's it. Maybe it's where I'm carrying this thing that it hasn't been an issue.
Are you back pocketing? Yeah, that's
Oh,
totally
yeah.
different. Yeah,
I
it's probably
may
sitting below the hem of your shirt.
yeah, most days.
Now the other thing, like tonight, I wore like it's almost a spandexy Under Armour worky kind of or like workout type of shirt, and because it holds closer to your body, it's not as loose. It's not like hanging down a little bit as much as say my Cold Steel shirt is or whatever else type of thing. So again, the baggier shirt hang down past your pocket line had a major issue. I wore my Appalachian Drifter today and had no issue because of the shirt that I was wearing, and it didn't inflict on it whatsoever. So again, depending on your garb, if you're a suit like or a dress shirt tucked in something, whatever type of thing, I don't think it's an issue. But if you're working with any sort of baggy shirt, something like that, and you have to reach into your pocket, when you lift up your shirt to reach into your pocket, you might get that snaggy, and that's what I experienced this weekend, right? So
Yeah,
That's fair. Yeah, and
I just need to buy better shirts.
well,
Great Cold Steel. I'm looking at you.
6 of one, 2,000 of another.
Buck.
Okay.
They're the only people making shirts right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's not.
Sorry, I was gonna just make another extremely small criticism. The micarta is pretty dry when it shows up. It's pretty chalky.
Yes, but I think so I've been playing with sanding micartas and on and off with that Tops knife and also the Cheeson that I had, the Cheeson Custom and sanding micartas. And I think maybe some of the reason behind some of the chalkiness to it is still giving somewhat of a texture and a grip. And if you are oiling them up and smoothing it out with just the oils from your hands and whatever type of thing, it still inherently has a little more grip to it than something's polished down to the point where maybe it's darker and shinier and blah, 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 but doesn't have quite the same texture as something that might be a little starchier looking, so to speak, right? So
yeah, I'm just saying they could have thrown some mineral oil on it as they threw it in the box.
Yeah, for sure. They also could have oiled the pivots, but they didn't do that either. So
okay. So there is actually there actually is another criticism for this knife. It's riding dry. It's a little dry. I don't think that any of our mics are going to pick this up, but
I think this is a criticism on Wii and Civivi, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, no.
Even the Wii Banter is one of the few exceptions where it was like running smooth as better out of the box, but we played it with a bunch of stuff over the last couple of weeks, and all of it was like, wow, this is running really dry. You kind of have to like work these in, take them apart, oil them, disassemble them, put them back together to be all like smooth as butter. And that's surprising for me, given my own experience with the Pleroma. It's really my own only experience. So yeah,
my Anks needed some oil, but it didn't need disassembly.
My Wii my Pleroma just needed to lock properly, but other than that, it was fine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that
I
whole
mean,
thing.
ultimately, I guess the moral of the story is Wii's not infallible either. All these fanboys that keep on telling that the Chinese market's taking over and blah blah blah. Yeah, sure, their blades are centered. Hashtag Benchmade. I'm looking at you. But yeah, on the flip side of that, there's downsides. They run dry. You can like dry to the point where you could hear them dry. Like so.
I will say, we and Civivi so far do have one thing that the other Chinese manufacturers that I've played with definitely don't have, and that's clean internals. My Wii knives and my Civivis, when I've disassembled and reassembled, they've been fairly clean on the inside. Some other knives that I've bought had literal friggin' stropping compound in the bearing race.
Say that both Tucson and Bestech have had very clean interiors. That no random crap. The ones that I've taken apart.
I've played with some best decks that are garbage as far as internals go.
Okay,
I have.
fair
I'll
enough.
say that they're not that hot. But I actually so far QSP actually has been the ones that are really like, wow, these are actually, and maybe because QSP is such a new company that
Nice clean warehouse where they're building them, or factory.
at very least the assembly, not where they're made, let's be honest here, they're probably made in the same place that they've been making shit for the last 40 years because it's 10, but maybe the assembly has some good enough quality control that they got some shit down type of thing, right? So yeah.
What do you
But,
mean motor oil isn't a lubricant for knife pivots?
and I'm not saying pristine either. I took apart a couple different Penguins and I took apart a Pelican at one point in time, and there was definitely some stuff that you could make run a little bit better. But overall, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty decent for what you're getting, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Now that you mention it, I did take my Penguin apart too, and it was pretty clean on the inside.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It was like, yeah, no, other than polishing the washers a little bit, there wasn't much that I needed to do, right? So
both of the artisans that I've taken apart, they definitely need disassembly.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw the pictures or not of the grit that I took out of your an artisan cutlery tomahawk, the same one that you have.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, at the prices that you're paying for those knives, you shouldn't have to take them apart, and you shouldn't see that stuff in there from factory. Like it's.
You say the prices that you pay for them, but there would still be $100 cheaper than anything American made that you get with the similar quality.
Sure, but when I'm paying, and dude, even if I'm paying $50, like Rook, Rook's been pretty clean every single one that I bought.
That's fine, but what I'm saying is like even like I took apart a tomahawk and cleaned the shit out of it because it was gross and nasty and whatever, right? It's a sub 250 knife. It's a 200, 220, blah blah blah, somewhere in there type of knife.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was kind of bad, but I mean, it's not 300, 400. And yeah, you're getting into the price point of, yes, you have an expectation of what to expect.
Dude, if I find crap in a $100 knife, I'm not super jazzed about that either.
Of course, right? Yeah. But if you put that same knife into some sort of American-made category, maybe it would be a clean knife, but you'd be paid a hell of a lot more money for it type of thing, right? So,
yeah, the fact that I got the knife for the price that I got it for, and all I had to do was clean it, and now it runs crazy smooth.
And nothing major enough in the internals to actually permanently damage.
No, I'm not talking like metal shavings or anything.
Gunky, right? Just kind of gunky. Yeah. So,
I mean, you've seen on stream where I've cleaned out 2 of my artisan knives while we've been streaming, and I've held up the paper towel and just how dirty they are on the inside.
Yeah. Although I've seen that from American-made knives. I've taken apart, and few and far between, but I've taken apart a Benchmade. I've taken apart a Spyderco straight out of the box. Holy crap! What is this type of thing? Like it's something got missed somewhere along the way before it left the store, right? So no one's infallible on those things.
No.
But it seems like Artisan seems to have a consistent like U factor that needs to go with. It's
There was green stropping compound caught in the corners of the bearing races on this thing.
And the best part is I've talked to several people who own artisan cutlery knives, and no one's had anything bad to complain about. I'm like, really? really. Like from what we've seen through the store, yeah, great designs, great price point. First thing I'm doing is disassembling it and getting it.
If you watch Nick Shabazz review this guy, he takes it apart and comments on how filthy it is on the inside.
Which, again, for the record, I believe he took apart the S35 version compared to the Damascus steel version. But also, what I appreciate about Artisan Cutlery is there's no price point difference. They've got VG10 Damascus, which is, yes, a downgrade from VG10, but yes, you're paying more because of the Damascus twisting process. And then you've got Civivi. Yeah, you've got Civivi or S35 with the Centauri. I mean, you're talking about the same price, but less work because of the folds and Damascus and the laminate and whatever you want to call it, right? But then you've got Civivi that's throwing S35 on an Appalachian Drifter for a very reasonable price. And then they're throwing what may or may not be 9CR18 Damascus.
It is.
For a silly goddamn premium, right? So.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm okay with paying that premium because I'm a sucker, but it would be nice.
But you got to appreciate at least Artisan for what they're doing, where they're like, you know what? Here,
we also
across the board.
We're also saying that this is VG10 Damascus. One place online says VG10 Damascus. Everyone else just says Damascus.
Which is a giant question mark, which may or may not be a bad thing. What happens when you find out that it's
9CR?
VG10 Damascus, right? So, yeah, maybe that is why they're playing a price point. But at the same time, the reputation that particular retailer has is fairly reputable.
Yeah.
You might want to even throw them a Q&A, and can you confirm? That might be a good thing. Without even purchasing a knife, I bet you could throw a question about that knife, saying it doesn't say specifically on their website it's VG10. How did you confirm that?
Yeah.
As far as, because there is question and answers, and wait for a response, because they're a big enough website that
it might be worthwhile reaching out just to have that peace of mind.
Yeah. Underneath the reviews, there's questions and answers, right? So, yeah.
That's it.
But yeah, on that note, I think.
What are we rating this bad boy?
What are we rating it? I'm going to rate it 37 pieces of stolen candy, because if you leave the bowl out there and no one's to attend it, that's how many pieces I'm going to take.
You don't just take the bowl?
No. 37. I count individually.
A quick aside: when I was
any more than that is that I'm douchey, right? So sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. A quick aside: when I was a young child, and much too Canadian for my own good, I went to a door where the bowl of candy was just sitting on the sill of the door. The door was open; you could hear people inside eating dinner, and I knocked like 4 times before somebody finally came and was like, no, the bowl's here. You can just have some. And like took a handful and put it into my bag. The guy from inside the house did this and then like stopped and kind of smiled at me and tipped like half the bowl into my bag as I walked away because I actually knocked. Sorry, I didn't mean, dude.
That's all right.
No,
37 pieces. And I don't care what the bowl size is. You can rate it out of how many pieces of candy you think are in your bowl tonight. And that's what I rated it.
I'm gonna be a pain in the ass. I'm giving this this knife a ratio rating. It's getting a 1/2. 1 to 2. 1 to 2 ratio. Specifically talking about how thin this knife is behind the edge compared to the Banter. I've got a comparison picture up right now. The knife is super slicey. I'm super jazzed about this thing. Even if I have to learn how to close it properly so it doesn't bounce out, I'm okay with that. This is a freaking fantastic knife.
It is pretty sweet. I'm going to be honest. I've been sitting here for the last minute or two trying to figure out how to make Appalachians come out of a drifter and how many Appalachians should come out of a drifter. But I'm going to go with 9 out of 10.
I think those roles are reversed. It's how many drifters can come out of the Appalachians. Like,
there's a poop joke in there somewhere.
They don't come back out. They go in. and they stay.
I don't know about the poop joke, but you're insulting an entire forested area, dude. There's mountain ranges you just insulted.
Oh.
People go in, they don't come out. That's all I'm saying.
Is that also a poop joke? Sorry.
Don't like that. Don't like that at all.
Especially with my brown knife. It's just
Hey,
too on the nose.
it's no wrinkle.
There you go. But yeah, if this knife did that open and close thing like I want it to, this would be a 10 out of 10 because I really like the overall form factor.
Right now, it's sitting at a 9.
Oh, yeah. 9 Appalachians out of a drifter.
All right.
So I commented on the SHOT Show knife of the year a couple years ago being the rustic gent, and then I like gloated and bragged because it was as nice as we wanted it to be when it actually finally came out. And I don't know if I called this a SHOT Show pick of the year this year or not, but it did not. It did not live up to what it should have been. And it's too bad because it's very close to living up to, and with the price point, an S35 and hollow grind is still a great knife for what it is. There's no doubt about it. But that detent is just like you're a ZT235 away from being perfect type of thing, right?
Yeah, but I don't think we touched on the point, the fact that that knife is twice the price of this thing.
Certainly is, but it's American made with
Touche.
more boring carbon fiber. So I got to use washing.
I will say that we really should revisit this knife in particular when and if we do fix your guys' lock bars.
While we're waiting for Dennis to get back, yeah, for sure. Examinator asked him, if you had to pick a Wii knife, which one would you recommend?
That, honestly, dude, is going to take some thought because I generally... So, bit of context here. We all work in the same knife shop. And along with that, we've been waiting to get in some Wii and Civivi models to play with firsthand as well as to sell to customers. And I kind of have not looked at their catalog as much because I wanted to pick up something that we were going to bring in. So, so I'm not super aware of what they have right now. I know the Elementive is super high rated. I personally have thoughts and feelings on that. I think it's just a little too small, as honestly the big one. But a Wii knife to go with that I would recommend. Honestly, the ones we're talking about tonight are both really stellar knives. If you need a locking knife, the Banter is a great 3-inch option. The Appalachian Drifter is a great non-locking 3-inch version.
The Appalachian Drifter is not a Wii knife, sir.
Or sorry, Civivi. Yeah. Okay, so sorry. If you're looking at Wii knives specifically, then I guess it depends if you really want to go for titanium frame locks or not. That's kind of the big thing. And Wii also makes a whole bunch of different blades. So like for general EDC, sure, the Banter's great, but maybe you want something for more light, medium use. The Angst is a great option for that.
The Angst is pretty awesome.
It is.
Pretty fine.
You guys are ridiculous. You guys are ridiculous with your goddamn daggers talking about practicality.
No, you know what? I was actually going to recommend the Etalon. The Integral M390 one. With the top flipper.
There's a lot of options, I think, in both companies. You just have to dive and find a style that works for you. Ultimately, I think is.
I will say, the fit and finish for most of the Wii knives, barring the one issue that you had with your Pleroma, there's very few issues that I've seen personally when it comes to Wii knives.
I've talked to a couple different people that have said, like, I'm the only person that they've ever had hear of an issue with a Wii knife type thing, right? Like it's so
they're pretty the reputation is well earned, I think. But yeah, Dennis, the question was from Zaminator. He doesn't have a Wii knife. Which one would you recommend?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Do you have a particular? Because because of how different each Wii knife is from the next, generally speaking, like there's Elijah Isham designs, which are all crazy as hell. Then there's the Banter, which is like, sure, it's a knife.
Buy a Pleroma. It's a piece of art.
The Floroma is quite nice, but
I love my Floroma. It's a little bit smaller than what everyone is expecting it to be, but I think that's a good way, especially after handling the Spyderco swayback and being too big. I think the Pluroma swayback is like a perfect size kind of idea, right?
yeah.
God damn it. I just realized that it's a swayback and it's an integral, and that basically means that I absolutely have to buy one at some point.
Well, as long as you buy a blue or a bronze one so we don't clash, then
You should get the blue one.
They make a blue one?
Yeah, you
They
should.
make
Yeah.
a blue or a bronze, dude. They make 3. Yeah.
I knew the bronze. I didn't know about the blue.
I'm a big fan of the new Roxys. We were talking about those a couple months back. You were looking at a Roxy 3. I think the Roxy 1 kicks ass. The Roxy 4 was a new one that I thought they maybe Viking saxed a little too much. The new Upshot, we're going to be talking about that probably next week. It was a limited edition knife, but there is still some available. It totally went under the radar. The Wee Knife Upshot was...
Keeping in mind the price, if you can say okay to the price point of the Upshot, that actually I'm going to change my answer. Just get the Upshot.
It's a Wee Knife. It's a Wee Knife. It's cheaper than my Floroma by like several $100s.
So I have precisely one criticism about that knife, and it's cosmetic. You're going to have to come back to see exactly why that's the criticism. But
even the brand new, I'm just jumped on Wee Knives' website just to see the brand new Primoris. That thing that had the Volation looking handle.
Primoris.
It's
yeah.
nice, for sure.
The Void Opus is nice.
The Opus is a very small knife, though. We're looking at like moat size, maybe a little bit bigger, but not by much type of thing. I'm personally in love with the Wee Knife Thug. I will be getting a brushed finished version as soon as they become available to me. But working in a knife store retail, I get sweet deals on sweet knives, and I'm waiting for that one to come my way at a sweet deal because that'll happen. So
the Miscreant is nice too.
It amuses me to no end that the Thug is like almost exactly the same overall length as the Banter. It's so stubby.
I am expecting it to be techno sized, and I'm okay with that. So.
Yeah. So in summary, the Wee Knives are pretty cool. Choose a budget, choose a style,
Look, if I have an overall like consensus on the Wee Knives, look at the specs, because especially overall length versus handle length and blade length, you might be shocked on small, big, whatever type of thing compared to what you're expecting. Watch some videos of people in hand, because Wee Knives are really good at misdirecting people on how big or small a knife is until you see it in person.
Yeah, like intentionally or not, it's super weird. Like the Thug, I thought it's like, oh, chonker, okay. Nope. Like it's a small thing.
Well, and the moat, we dabbled on that last week.
Yeah.
There's been several.
My angst too.
Yeah.
Sorry? The angst. Yeah, we all expected like somewhere between where it actually is and like the tie light. We kind of expected it to be sort of that range, but yeah.
So depending on your hand size examinator, I'm not 100% sure if you've got a large, extra large, something like that hand. Be very careful on the specs, because we've personally been surprised several times on the in-person size ratio compared to what we thought it was going to be.
I want you to know that I think both of you are on glue. I'm Googling blue Pluroma right now, and I'm not getting any hits. They only had 2 variations even on their own website.
On bronze and
silver and bronze, yeah.
I could have sworn they had a. Did we maybe see the same picture where the lighting made it look blue? Because I'm seeing a number.
No, I'm just personally thinking about a Rhino, and they had the Rhino in several different colors. And
I
now
could have.
Because I own both of those knives. So yeah.
I could have sworn that there was a third handle option though.
And they don't even call it bronze; they call it champagne. There was only 2. I was wrong.
Yeah, I might still buy the silver one, but I'll probably change its color.
Like you always say.
It's in the queue.
What am I thinking?
It's in the batter's box. It's fine.
Hey, man. Speaking of, I still got to work on this.
I don't even know what that is. Oh, that's a Kuban. Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to ruin a Coben.
On that note, I think we're done for the evening.
Yeah, Dennis is probably tired from doing the expo all day. So
Oh my God, let's not talk about how tired I am right now. I was able to power through on this live stream just because I haven't been sitting in a hotel room talking to no one for the last 3 days. So it was kind of entertaining to talk about knives to someone other than someone that was talking about supernatural seasons that I could give not a shit about. Anyway, so
Is it a real jawbone?
no, but for the record, one of those brothers, and I don't even know which one is which, carries a Kershaw spec bump from 10 or 15 years ago.
oh,
And that's the only good knife on that entire goddamn show. But
Fair.
useless factoid. Yeah.
I mean, it has to do with supernatural, so I mean, not surprised it's useless. That's okay.
I could talk about the 68 Impala for a while, but that's a whole different thing. So
Yeah, we're not a car review channel. Probably get more
No,
viewers if we
not.
were.
so that's the only thing that I want to look at. What's under the hood? That's for sure. Care less about the actors.
Examinator's getting a little carried away here and thanking us for our words of wisdom.
Oh,
Wow.
please.
Might be a strong word.
That's
Don't go that far.
yeah. That is far and away too nice.
What's our tagline? Isn't it 3 assholes talking smack about knives? Something like that.
I don't know.
Something
Yeah.
along those lines.
The only reason I'd listen to me is because I've handled a lot of or owned a lot of knives. But other than
I was gonna
that,
say the important part is assholes.
yeah,
Like you said, yeah.
opinions are opinions. Yeah. So.
Yeah. They sure?
right.
I guess we want to thank the Cutting Edge for letting us play with some of this stuff. Yeah, we got
Even
to play
if-
with the Banter recently. We got to play with the Drifter. Although all of us decided to just order Drifters, and that's half the reason that the store carries them is because when there's 3 out of 3 guys that think that this knife is worth looking at, we're gonna probably sell it on our shelf too. So
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Instagram, I have no idea. Paul, how many followers are we sitting at on Instagram? Enough.
984.
Something. There's
I
gonna
think
be
we
a giveaway.
lost a few Damascus retailers.
Yeah.
We're 16 followers away from another giveaway. So that's all we're saying is
Yeah.
maybe
us a
one day we'll
follow.
get there and maybe one of the 3 people that watch our no, it's more than that. But Ben, thanks again for winning the Animas.
Indeed. Cheers.
I want to see photos of what you do with that thing.
Does anyone want to talk about Patreon or am I just going to spiel about all 3?
If you want. No, but seriously, thanks to those supporting through Patreon. There are things coming down the pipe. I know we say it a lot, but we mean it for realsies this time. One of them is, and I'm pretty sure we're still doing this, but it's getting it in from the States, I think, is one of the first hurdles. Figuring that out.
Supposed to be something that's very exclusive, but only available to U.S. residents. We're trying to break that rule and get one into Canada, and we will probably give it away on our Patreon viewers. So very exclusive. I know there's only a couple guys following us on Patreon, but that's what's making it special. So
But
Yeah.
one of you fuckers is going to be super excited about the thing that you're going to get because it's going to be pretty awesome.
eventually, after
Yeah.
we're done talking smack talk and actually do it. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that rounds us out. All the things,
I think so.
like us, follow us where it's applicable and reasonable.
Please like me.
Thanks for joining us, especially I'm glad I could make it here. I know I'm not actually home right now, but figured out a way to make it work. And yeah, we'll see you guys again next Sunday here. Back with the same crazy bullshit that I normally have in the background instead of a big white wall. So yeah, I guess that being that, yeah, I am who I am. I'm Dennis Fibers.
I am the Iron Joe.
Exile.ca.
As always, thanks for joining us, guys. Take care.
Indeed. I appreciate Ben's response. The oh my. To your wanting to see how he uses that knife.
You know, photos, videos, whatever.
Yeah,
We never said we were family appropriate.
that's true. That is true. What was I going to say?
I don't know, but are we not live anymore? So you can say whatever.
We
Yeah,
are
I
still
remember
live,
what
but
Okay.
all right. Goodbye, everybody.